We are into part 2, into segment 2 of our buddy read of Here by Heidi Wicks. And we were commenting about how much we could feel St. John's in the book, but then also how we can feel these St. John's based stories in conversation with other St. John's based stories. And for both of us, reading Elodie when we first encountered her as this ballerina, I think,
dancer,
in the house, we were immediately brought back to This Is How We Love by Lisa Moore and the art teacher in that story as well.
Yeah, the first thing I thought of was this scene from This Is How We Love where the artist, I can't, of course, remember her name off the tip of my tongue right now, but she is doing I believe it's like a big sketch of dancers who are performing, and that connection was made.
But I also felt a little bit of Eva Crocker and some of her versions of downtown in this one as well. And I'm fairly certain Eva Crocker is probably mentioned. She is
certainly
in the
is.
acknowledgement.
She was an early reader, yeah.
Verisimilitude, my favorite one.
It's got a very dreamlike quality. I love the way it begins. The character is in a city, not the city of St. John's, and buildings are looming over her, and she's kind of by a pool, and that just really sets the tone, I feel like, for the entire story.
I had to go back and double check because I was initially of the impression that this was Brenda from Bubbles, because she's coming back from the mainland and she's been working, and I couldn't remember if it was Toronto, Montreal, whatever. It wasn't, but I was kind of like, I think it also kind of shows like the game when you're reading it of trying to make all the connections, because some of the connections between the stories are, kind of loose, but they're there nonetheless. With Anatomy of a Wave, just for the pleasure of listeners who might be curious, you and I were sort of having like a little one-upmanship contest while we were reading like around that part of the book at the same time, because you sent me a lovely photo of you reading it in the most scenic New Hampshire vista I could imagine. And then I was like, all right, I see that, but I'll send you one of me at a lake with also very scenic vista behind it. So we were reading these stories in very beautiful places, which is another kind of fun buddy read kind of thing to do, I think.
I actually thought that might be like a fun thing to explore with other buddy readers. Like, where are you? Where are you? Where is here for you?
Yes, tell us where
you're reading your book. Send us a picture. One up us.
Can you do better than the mountains of New Hampshire? Let's just see.
There's a daughter character, June, and her parents, Merle and Searle.
God love them.
And it starts with a strawberry patch, which the strawberry patch you do end up you hear about it, or it comes up in some of these other stories, and it was just such a simple story of the love between these two people and what it was like to be their daughter. And it was just this little compact but very sweet story. I don't know, there was just something I loved it. And even I remember when I finished it, I had to go back and be like, and what is the title of this piece again? And I thought Anatomy of a Wave. And I went, oh, yes.
Yeah, she's knocking it out of the park with the titles. Like, I'm loving every one. And this is the one, I started really like mapping out connections here, because Searle, and then I had the connection to Bobby and Jurl, the brother. And then, of course, Talia's pop would be the brother to Searle. Anyway, like I was like really trying to sort out exactly, like it would be fun to actually figure out like, okay, these are all the connections and then the connections to the rooms.
I did find myself doing that when I would finish each story, or I'd begin a story and be like, okay, now who is this person gonna be?
Right.
And how are they going to be connected?
And then we kind of have the Lulu Elodie like back-to-back sequence at the end of this segment for this part of the buddy read. So, we met them earlier in the book and they're coming back, and we know just from looking at the list of titles, we're going to see them more. So they're going to factor into this book and this sort of these connecting stories.
I feel like of all the characters in the entire collection, it is Lulu and Elodie that just pop up the most. And I kind of want to ask her about what's her connection to those characters and what did them and their individual stories and their relationship maybe symbolize in the entirety of what here is about and the lives that kind of intersect and don't in this house on Circular Road.
And I think maybe because I have much more to read in this one still, I think one thing I might try to do is look for echoes of the characters. Would I possibly see some part of Sarah or Mabel or Shirley or Ellen or some of them in Lulu, in Elodie? Is there any of those echoes through the characters, not just the place itself? So maybe I'm going to keep an eye out for that in my next chunk of reading.
I think that's a good idea.